now, it's time for talk.
We'd walk out to the garden and see what has blown over or blown down, and it doesn't look so bad at the beginning. You can see from our corn which way the wind came from. You can see everything is leaning from the north. So we had a north wind that pushed all that hail in here. Let's see if it got any of our tomato plants. All right, the late tomato plants, the young ones, are really blown sideways. I think they'll come up, but look what it did to the big ones. It could have been a whole lot worse. Could have stripped every leaf off. The hail wasn't that bad. He's had cucumbers up on the fence, and they also attest to which direction the wind came from. And look at these two zucchini squash plants right here. No doubt about the fact that it came from the north. Well, our purple hull peas were blooming. I don't really think anything is damaged. A little wind blown, but I think everything will make it. One tomato cage really did nearly blow over. We'll have to straighten that up. It's begun to rain just a little bit, so probably don't need to do that right now. I think the storm is through. It's gone on south. The beans look sad. Actually, those poor beans have been eaten off 4 times by rabbits. And we've either replanted or they've come back. And now then the hail gets them. Maybe we're not supposed to have beans this year. Who knows? But look at this. Look at the squash. And some of those that are needing to be picked right now. I'll just get in there and get that right now. Right now, as that's shining. That's shining. Well, this was a good year for cabbage. Actually, this is some of the best cabbage we have ever grown. Now, the rest of the garden may be kind of poor, but this cabbage really did well in this weather. Now, the chief ingredient of relish that Russ is going to cut up outside is going to be this cabbage and a lot of onions. So we're going to choose a head of cabbage, and then you watch the grinding process. So we've gone along here and sort of picked the head we want, one of the heads we want, and he'll cut it out right now. You hear those crisp leaves fall off, and it'll take maybe 2 or 3 of these to make a pretty good batch, several pints of relish. But as I said, this was a great year. Pretty good looking head of cabbage. Well, that'll be some good eating with soup beans or black-eyed peas. All right, old antennas ought to be good for something, and they are. Russ has stood them up in our backyard. We've planted all kinds of gourds, and we do have several different kinds. And let me show you, there's some beauties. They look like they've been shellacked. They have a gloss to them. Characteristically, they have those two green. Can you see it? Can you see it down there? You must get around there. Well, you've seen the garden. Now let me show you the fruits of our labor. Now these are the fruits. Of course, they're the vegetables of our labor, but you don't really say that. The hardest part of this is talking your husband into cutting all of this mess up. Now, when I say all of this mess, you see there are green peppers, red peppers, all bell peppers. There are onions, there's cabbage, and there's, what else? Onions, cabbage, bell peppers, and green tomatoes. Oh, we had to pull our green tomatoes. But we gathered all of this stuff, put it in a big pile, and Russ started chopping up. Now, when we originally started doing this, we used my mom's grinder, meat grinder she called it, and it was so juicy that we would set up out in the yard and then instead of in the kitchen because it was too big a mess. But we've learned an easier way to do it. We have a little food processor. Yes, it's a very tiny one, very inexpensive, but let me tell you, that thing is worth the money. It grinds everything, and he'll sit out here and fool with this. Now watch. Just a minute. He likes to. He's got all the onions. He's got everything cut up here, and he likes to take a handful of. Well, he's cutting this onion in half. He likes to take a handful of the onion, and then a handful of the pepper, and then a handful of cabbage, and then the tomatoes he's cut up. And that way it's easier to mix rather than doing all the onion at one time. And that little food processor really goes to town. And now he slaps with it. It doesn't do what he wants it to do. No, actually that jars it back down in there. If you had a larger one, it might be handy here. But we have so many uses for one this size that it would be a shame to go to a bigger one for us. Yeah. But he has this mountain of
fry a lot
shows
doing
you
this?
the onion. Now we raised all of this. We did get some bell peppers from extra bell peppers from a friend. I didn't have any red bell peppers, but the red peppers make it beautiful in the jar. We'll show you the jars. We'll show you what we got out of this as we cooked it down. The cooking's very simple. It doesn't really take long. This is the work right here. This is what really takes the time, is cutting up everything.
A lot of juice in there.
Now the process just goes on like that. And if you stand out there and you tell them what a good job they're doing, then you bring it in. You put a cup of salt in this at this point, and you mix it up, and you let it stand. The recipe says overnight, but in this case it stood for about 8 or 9 hours, and I decided that was enough. We cooked it for some 5 minutes, added sugar and a lot of spices, and there's the finished product. Put it in jars. I saved some sealing lids that will seal well, but from the start to the finish, you've seen how to make chow chow. The gardener does have a lot to put up with. One of the predators, one of the things that really give you grief would be the aphids. Now, the aphids that usually get on tomato plants, at least on ours, are pink. The ones that eat peas are black. But these things can reproduce like nothing else in this universe, I think. There can be millions of them, and they can start when they're 2 or 3 days old in reproducing. They're asexual in this time of year. They're neither male nor female. They don't worry about that, and they can get on top of your plants and just put in a little proboscis and suck the juice out of that plant, and just make it shrivel up. Ants love these. They are called the cows of the ants because the ant protects them, goes up. We'll stroke them with antenna or legs, and they exude a white, milky substance that they say they're the ants' cows. And the ants really take care of them and keep predators off of them. Now, ladybugs love to eat aphids, and if you see a ladybug, be good to it, because the aphids really rob your plants, and they are on flowers. They're not just on vegetables. But look at that. There are millions on that stem, and by tomorrow you won't hardly be able to see the stem for the aphids. Here's a ladybug going right now. Hun, don't waste your time down there. Get up on one of these stems and start eating. All right, now here's a ladybug larva. Doesn't look anything like the ladybug right at this time, but be careful with them. Don't destroy any of these you see, because you look right up here are the aphids that have gone wild on the peas. Here is a ladybug right here that is feasting on these big black aphids. See these that eat the peas? Oh, and here's two more. Here's two more ladybug larvas right here. And everybody is feasting today. The aphids are feasting on the peas. They just suck the juice right out of that pea. And they're, look at them. Look at them. There are millions. They stain your hands. Just millions of them that are sucking out the juice. And here that ladybug is really searching. And they've got enough here to eat for, they need to get all their relatives and come and eat. All right, the peas are getting ready to be picked. These are purple hulls, and you understand why they're purple hulls, and they are the cream of the crop as far as I'm concerned. Purple hulls are so much better than just plain black-eyed peas or any other kind, Crowders or whatnot, but that's my preference. So we have peas getting ripe, ready to be picked and shelled, and we'll show you that process. That's really neat. Oh, the day of sitting around out in the shade and everybody shelling peas, at our house at least, is gone. And look at those green peppers shining in this morning sun. Isn't that beautiful? I love a garden. You know, I think Russ kind of enjoys the garden too, even though he does most of the hoeing and the chopping and the hard work. He keeps the squash gathered and the peas picked, and he's rigged up his pea sheller. We'll show you how that works. For an hour's work, he's done really well. Let's see what you got.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, look at the peas and cucumbers and squash in the bottom. And I'd already picked the okra, so we've done really well today. Now then the pea shelling goes on, so he'll have fun for the rest of the morning.
I will. I'll have a lot of fun.
As I said, we don't have to all sit around in a circle and shell peas anymore. But the pea sheller fits right behind. Of course, you can't hardly see for the vise, but we'll see what he's doing. All right, we got the drill out. He props it with a few newspapers and then hooks it right into the pea sheller itself. Well, can you see actually that's 2 or 3 messes of purple hull peas. That's really a lot of good eating. I can taste them already.